Hi guys, welcome to another nail art video. For today's nail art tutorial, I'm going to show you all of my tips and tricks in accomplishing this look. We're not going to waste no time with an intro or anything like that because it was 13 hours of footage that I had to shrink down. So I think I did a pretty good job. I'm going to show you everything that you need to accomplish this look and everything that I've learned along the way as well. Okay, so first things first, you're gonna want a silicone tool and you're also gonna want a solid gel. McCart calls it solid nail glue. Other brands will call it solid builder gel. It just depends. You're also gonna want a small piece of paper and I'll show you why later. Now, right here, I want you to notice the texture and consistency of the gel. You see how hard I'm pushing it and it's very grabby to my tool. That's because it's pretty thick. But if you start pulling on it like you see how I'm doing here, once I grab it, it sort of gets stringy. With that being said, you want to roll it in your fingers, but don't play with it too much because it will stick. I promise you, if you twirl it in your fingers too much, it's going to get sticky and you're going to have to switch your gloves. I want to point out two things. One, because it's so thick, it is gonna hold its consistency however you decide to shape and mold it. You can put pressure just like you see me doing here. You don't have to be gentle with it. You want to put some force into it however you're gonna shape it. And two, just keep in mind, the more you play with it and roll it around in your fingers, the consistency will change and it will become slimy and sticky. So just give it a little roll to make it a tiny ball, put the ball on the nail, and then you're gonna wanna start patting it down with your silicone tool. I do wanna take a brief moment to mention, I do have Baby Groot up in the left corner as a reference so you can see what I'm working on. So I'm just doing his body right now, and then I'll move on to his legs, and then his head, and lastly his arms. But anyways, back to what I was saying. The reason why you want a flat-ended silicone tool, if you haven't noticed already, is because that's what you're going to be using to shape out whatever it is you're building. You can use your fingers, just like you see me here, to put a little bit more pressure and flatten it. It does make it a little bit faster. But then I do go back in with my silicone tools to make the edges a little bit sharper. Once you start building out your character, you'll notice that as you go, for instance, right here, I went from his body to his legs. Well, there's going to be a gap or a line right there. So what you want to do is take some nail polish remover with a brush. You can also dip your silicone tool into the nail polish remover. I do that here a couple times in the video as well. But the reason you're going to do that is to blend out that line, excuse me. That's going to help it look more smooth and even. That way when you go to paint over your character, you're not going to see any harsh lines where you had to divide the body and the legs. Also, this is very important. When you're blending it to make it smooth with the nail polish remover, you're going to do this before you put the nail in the lamp to cure. If you don't, it will totally defeat the purpose. And solid gel is, I don't know how else to say it. If even it's just putting it into the light for 5 seconds will cure it enough where it's no longer moldable. So before you even put it next to that nail lamp to cure, you're gonna go over it with your nail polish remover, whether it's with the silicone tool or a brush. All right, guys, so my next tip for you is going to be about proportions. If you've been paying close attention, you'll notice that I go back when creating his head to add more gel. And the reason I do that is because while I was working with it, I noticed that it wasn't enough gel to create Groot's, I don't want to say big head, but his head is bigger than his body. And so it wasn't enough gel that I was working with. I needed more. And that's okay. Don't be afraid to go back in and add a little bit more gel. As a matter of fact, I have found it easier to add gel to your character than to take away what you've already placed onto the nail. So definitely try to use smaller proportions, especially if it's your first time working with a gel like this. Right here, what you see me doing is trying to give his hand even more of a 3D look. I wanted to make it look like it was coming up rather than lying flat by his side. So all you have to do to achieve that look is to take your silicone tool and sort of scoop it up off the nail. It's really easy. I think that's one of the easiest things to do in this whole set. For Groot's body, I'm using the gel polish by Beetles in the number 936. And then for, I don't know what you would call that, his roots or the top of his head, I went in with a green, also by Beetles. This color is F359. What I'm doing is taking the green and slowly dragging it down. I mean, ridiculously slow. This entire video is not sped up. I did cut out portions to make it faster, but I didn't speed up the process or anything in terms of making the actual motion faster. Once I thought there was enough green at the top, I took an ombre brush, like an ombre blending brush, and started bringing the color down. And it did make it more smooth. I wouldn't say seamless, but it did make it more smooth so that Groot's little green on the top of his head looked a lot cuter. A little trick when you're doing this technique is to actually clean your brush and then go backwards, just how you saw me do here. And that makes the ombre look so much better, especially when you're using gel polish, because gel polish can be tricky. I want to take this time to say really quick that this set took me 13 hours. To be honest, I don't know if I already mentioned that, but the reason I want to bring it up is because a lot of the times we see nail artists doing these magnificent sets and they'll squeeze down a tutorial into 5 minutes, but realistically, that's not how it is. And honestly, this was my first time creating a set with solid gel. Had I been a little bit more experienced with it, maybe it would not have taken me 13 hours, but it is what it is. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it was a long process, but I want to share with you guys what I learned. That way, hopefully when you start using solid gel, it doesn't take you 13 hours like I did. I promised you I was going to tell you what that little piece of paper was for, so here it is. I roll like a little cylinder or caterpillar into this piece of paper, and it allows me to then separate my pieces evenly. So when I went in to create his headphones, I was able to differentiate a lot better. Here, you see me? I added more because it was too small of a piece. But I know, going back to that little piece of paper, how much I'm gonna need to create the other side of his headphone. It's just easier than when you're trying to scoop it out of the pod, because you're never really gonna get the exact proportion you need scooping it out of the pod. I mean, maybe you will if you're more experienced with it, but this is just way easier if you're just starting out. If you notice, I'm using my brush rather than my silicone tool a lot more when using his headphones. When creating his headphones. And the reason I'm doing that is because his headphone is not flat against the nail. The headphone actually sticks out and has round edges. So if I go in with my silicone tool, it's gonna give me like rough, patchy edges, and it's not gonna look round like a normal headphone would look. So the more you play with it, the better understanding you'll get when learning what tools will work better for certain shapes. And 5 hours later, we have ourselves a Baby Groot. The next nail that I worked on was the pinky nail, and I used this picture as a reference for how I wanted the cassettes to come out. For this nail, I'm not gonna do much talking. All I'm gonna say is I want to give you guys now the opportunity to see what I've been talking about when applying pressure with your silicone tool to the gel, adding a little bit more gel if you need it, that's okay too. And also dipping your tool, whether it's the silicone tool or the brush, into nail polish remover to blend out that line where you did add more gel. So if I don't mention the names of the colors that I'm using, it's because I do have them linked down below. So you'll be able to see exactly what color I'm using and where I got it from. Another thing, I am only showing you one cassette, and the reason I'm doing that is because the other two cassettes were exactly the same. So I didn't want to bore you showing you guys another cassette, but this is how the other two came out. I really like the color combo. I don't know if that's just me, but I feel like they pop, and I don't know, I love it. But the next nail that I went on to and that I'm going to show you is the index finger. This one was tricky. I don't show you guys how I got the little wraparound cord, and it's not because I didn't want to, it's because I record on my phone and I don't know, I think I ran out of like storage on my phone and I have to get more iCloud storage. So it literally just stops recording. It was really annoying. So I'm sorry that I don't show that, but I can do another video if you guys really want to see it. Right here, I am creating, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know or remember what they're called, but it's the recorder that you put the cassettes into. And I did this first because right on top, I'm gonna do a butterfly, and I wanted to know how much room I had to work with. Once I finished that, like I said, a butterfly was gonna go right up top. So first I started with a ball for its head. Then I used that little white sheet of paper to roll out the body, and I put that on the nail, and then I moved on to the wings. At this point in creating this nail set, I have to say one of the most annoying things with solid gel is that it's a lot of back and forth. So you'll know what I mean when you start to mess around with it. But basically, the more you push down on one end, it's going to affect the other end of the character. So right here, I'm trying to work on the bottom of the nail. But the more I push down, the more it spurses out on the other end of the wing. And you have to go back and forth correcting everything that you just did. It can get annoying, so please, please, please be patient, especially if you're just starting out. This might just be me, but I feel like solid gel has really been trending this past year or so with flowers, so it's probably new to a lot of nail techs, but even though it's been around for a while, it's just been trending, and so I've seen it a lot on Instagram and TikTok. I tried to share with you guys as many tips and tricks that I've learned, and hopefully you guys find those helpful. But by all means, if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below and I will get to them as soon as possible. We are coming to an end though with the video, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.